Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some incredible battles in the Open Master League featuring a level 50 2400 CP Umbreon in the Master League. Now this idea did come from a comment on a previous video, so many thanks for the suggestion. Now Umbreon, it's 2400 CP, it should absolutely not be used in the Master League, but it can at 2400 CP still defeat Double Legacy Mewtwo and still defeat Giratina. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out level 50 Umbreon in action in the Master League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a pretty nice lead, Zacian into Dialga. Opponent save switches into Mewtwo, and it is Umbreon time. If this is a double Legacy Mewtwo, then Umbreon is going to fully wall it. Opponent goes for the Shadow Ball, and we have found the double Legacy Mewtwo. Umbreon is going to be firing off the foul play here. Foul play is going to connect onto the Mewtwo. Going for foul play number 2. This will not KO. As a reminder, this is a 2400 CP Pokemon going up against the Pokemon that is almost double its combat power. They go for another Shadow Ball. Umbreon looking for the Snarl down. Cannot quite get there. Mewtwo will make the Psystrike. Psystrike is going to get the Umbreon low. Umbreon able to commit to the Snarl down and will be able to make double foul play versus the Dialga. In comes the Dialga. I'm at the back-to-back foul plays here. Foul play is going to do absolutely nothing to the Dialga. But regardless, I'm going for foul play number 2. Foul play is going to connect. Dialga gets the farm down. I can now send in Zacian. Zacian going for the close combat right away. This will be lethal. Opponent does have quite a bit of energy on the Dialga, so they will commit the shield. They're firing off the Iron Head. I'm going to commit a shield because I do outpace in this matchup. I'm looking to farm up with Zacian. We'll have to see, does the opponent try and go for a catch? And they do. Opponent making a beautiful catch, catching the close combat onto Giratina Origin. I farm back up to the close combat, and in comes Dialga. I can tank whatever they throw here, so I will no-shield the first move. They go straight for the Shadow Ball. I need to make it to the Iron Head. Dialga farming up, going for the Iron Head, and winning CMP over the Giratina. Here, I will undercharge. My goal is to leave it in a range where even if they KO me here, I can quick attack down. So I get them to a fraction of HP. They go for the Ominous Wind. That's not going to KO. So, you know what? I'm just getting rid of the Giratina. Now it's a race. Can Zacian make it to the back-to-back close combats before they make the double Iron Heads? And it looks like the answer is yes. Close combat number 1 will be shielded. Dialga wins CMP on close combat number 2, but I can commit the final shield. CMP was triggered. They have no shields remaining. Close combat takes down Dialga, and that is a good game. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Zacian into Ho-Oh. This matchup is why we are running Wild Charge on our Zacian, as with Wild Charge, Zacian can put up a heck of a fight. I'm farming up and firing off the Wild Charge just before their Incinerate completes. My opponent is going to commit the shield. I am now very debuffed, but I am going to be staying in this matchup, as even though these Incinerates are doing a lot more damage than they typically would, I'm still able to withstand the damage and reach quite a few Wild Charges. Wild Charge is going to be no-shielded. Aggressive switch into Dialga, looking for the snipe. My opponent is able to hang on to energy with the Ho-Oh and send in Dialga. I build up to the Draco Meteor. I'm going for the bait here. Iron Head gets no-shielded. That's a great call by my opponent. But this is only an Iron Head, so I will be able to no-shield here, as Iron Head not going to KO. I'm going for the farm down, and I get it with a sliver of HP remaining. In the back, my opponent has Giratina. You absolutely love to see it. I'm going for the Draco Meteor. Opponent commits the shield, but Giratina now has to deal with its worst nightmare in Umbreon. Umbreon is going to be resisting anything it could throw here. The Ominous Wind, the Shadow Ball. I guess if they had Dragon Pulse, but thankfully, opponent not running Dragon Pulse, so we are in a great spot here. Going for the foul play. Opponent switches into the Ho-Oh, so unfortunately there was a little bit of a visual glitch in terms of the HP there. They go for the Brave Bird. Umbreon incinerates down a level 50 Ho-Oh, and we have all the energy in the world. Shadow Ball is going to connect. Umbreon at 100 energy, going for foul play number 1 here. Foul play is going to get the Giratina low and making it to foul play number 2. This will be a 2400 CP Umbreon taking down a Giratina, and that is a good game. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Zacian into Dialga. My opponent is staying in this lead matchup, which works out quite nicely for me. I'm going to farm up till just before they make the Iron Head and go for the close combat. Close combat is going to be shielded by my opponent. My opponent over farming quite a bit here. Opponent goes for the catch onto Togekiss, but I'm able to hang on to my energy, and now I get to go for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge grabs the final shield. I bank a close combat for later, and I'm going to send in Dialga. Dialga farming up. Opponent going for an Ancient Power here. They did not farm up enough for an Aura Sphere, so I can safely no shield as the Dialga, and now I can go for the kill shot with the Iron Head. Iron Head onto the Togekiss. Not quite going to be able to KO, but I will get the Dragon Breath farm down. My opponent sends in their own Dialga. They throw a charge move, and that works even better for me here, as honestly, they could have just farmed down, and I have a close combat on Zacian. Here, I accidentally overfarmed too much, and I play to a CMP tie. Definite misplay on my part, but the good news is, I have a shield, so I shield the charge move, and this close combat will be lethal. Close combat is going to KO in the back. It's Kyogre, and now I have to send in Umbreon. Unfortunately, due to throwing the close combat, my defense was debuffed. The waterfalls would have KO'd, so I had to switch into Umbreon to reset the debuff, and Umbreon unfortunately just does absolutely no damage, as this is a level 50 legendary Pokemon that I'm going up against. I'm farming up, making it to the back-to-back foul plays, but honestly, if I can just get it into Wild Charge range, I should be okay. And this is definitely Wild Charge range. Now the question is, can Zacian get to the Wild Charge? Foul play is going to connect. In comes Zacian. Zacian able to hang on and make it to the Wild Charge. Wild Charge takes down Kyogre, and that's game over. Hopping into the next match, leading into, you guessed it, another Dialga lead. At this point, we are very comfortable with how to play this out. Farm up till just before the Iron Head and go for the close combat. Close combat does not one-shot in this matchup, but a lot of Dialgas do like to commit the shield. Opponent actually throws an alignment there, giving a quick attack back for free, which is quite nice. I'm looking to farm up and go for the close combat before they make a second Iron Head. Again, this will not be lethal. Opponent is going to no shield. I aggressive switch into Dialga, and I'm able to snipe theirs. My opponent is now going to send in their own Zacian, and I'm definitely happy to see this here, because I absolutely needed to bait out the Fairy type, because Umbreon just could do absolutely nothing here. Iron Head will be shielded by my opponent. I'm just going to let this go. Close combat will not KO. Opponent goes for a Play Rough, not wanting to debuff themselves. They're going for their charge move. I have a tough decision to make here. I decide to actually let this go and instead send in my own Zacian. I'm going for the Wild Charge. I'm just trying to get their Zacian as low as possible, and hopefully Umbreon will have play in the back. Wild Charge is going to connect. My opponent firing off a charge move. I will commit the shield. They go for the Play Rough. What do they have in the back? It's Kyogre. I'm farming up, and I'm able to make it to the Wild Charge. Wild Charge not going to one-shot, but it will definitely leave a mark. Wild Charge connects. I make it to another Wild Charge, and this will be goodbye Kyogre. And then it's all up to Umbreon to take out the low-health Zacian here. Zacian makes a charge move. Can a level 50 Umbreon take a charge move here? Yes, it can. Surviving the close combat and making it to the foul play. Foul play KOs the Zacian, and that's game over. We've got mirror leads in the next match, Zacian versus Zacian. Now this will all come down to what moveset are they running on their Zacian. My opponent is running Quick Attack as well. In case they're double nuke, I do not want to be the first one to throw, so I'm just going to farm up energy until they throw first, and then immediately no shield, as I would much rather no shield this damage and save shields for after my defense has been debuffed from the Wild Charge. So I'm going for Wild Charge number 1 here, that's going to connect, and now going for Wild Charge number 2. Now this will be lethal. Opponent is going to commit the shield. My opponent looking for the farm down. Zacian with a sliver of HP, able to hang on, make it to another Wild Charge, and force the second shield. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give those shields right back, as I'm bringing a Dialga into a loaded Zacian. But the good news is even though I'm giving up shields, I now have an energy lead, and energy lead Dialga can basically handle just about anything in the meta. Like my opponent can send in their own Dialga, but it's just too little too late. With the energy lead, I make it to the Draco Meteor. This is going to be one-shotting my opponent's Dialga. We'll have to see what do they have in the back. Opponent thinking about it. They decide to send back in Zacian. Zacian will make the close combat, so I switch at the last possible second and catch the close combat onto Umbreon. And now I'm going to go for the full Snarl down. Umbreon looking for the Snarl down. Zacian able to make another charge move, but this will KO and I get energy on Dialga. But my opponent makes an incredible play that wins them the game. They undercharge the close combat, and I'm switch locked with my Umbreon, so I cannot switch out, and they can now fully mud shot down my Umbreon, and with the energy lead, they get to Precipice Blades by Dialga, so I resign the match. Hopping into the next match, picking up a great lead, Zacian into Dragonite. Opponent save switches into Excadrill, and my opponent is clearly running the most popular free-to-play team, which is Dragonite, Excadrill, and Metagross as the third. So I'm just going to stay in here with the Zacian, tank a Drill Run, go for the close combat, but I do end up losing CMP. I will commit the shield, and now I can start unleashing close combats on the Exca. The nice thing about this matchup is Zacian can tank a Drill Run, whereas they absolutely cannot tank a close combat. I'm farming up, and I'm going for another close combat here, putting pressure on that final shield. Opponent is going to double shield the Exca, and I continue to farm with the Zacian. I do have to watch for a potential catch back onto the Dragonite here. Opponent sends in the Metagross, and Metagross will be answered with Umbreon. Opponent throwing on alignment, giving Umbreon a Snarl for free. Meteor Mash rocks the Umbreon. Oh my goodness, Umbreon not taking these charge moves too well from these Master League Pokemon. Foul Play is going to connect. That just does absolutely nothing to the Metagross. Going for Foul Play number 2. This Foul Play is going to get the Metagross into the red. Metagross is forced to throw, but this now sets up the potential for Dialga to farm down the Metagross and get an energy lead. And I do still have a move banked on my Zacian. I get the farm down. Opponent aggressively switches in the Dragonite, but Dragonite not going to appreciate the Iron Head and the Dragon Breath damage from Dialga. Dialga gets them low. They're going to be forced to fire off a charge move here. Dragonite goes for the superpower. That's going to get Dialga low. Aggressive switch into Zacian, and Zacian gets the farm down. If they bring an Exca, which they do, I need to fire off the close combat. Close combat KOs Exca. In comes Metagross. They farm down, but Dialga farms down the Metagross and gets the win. We see a very familiar lead in the next match, Zacian into Dialga, and the Dialga is staying in this matchup, which works out incredibly well for me, because I need to keep this Dialga away from my Umbreon. I'm going for the close combat here. Close combat gets no shielded. My opponent choosing to play for shield advantage rather than making a play for switch. They go for the Iron Head. I will commit the shield, look to overfarm, and go for the close combat. If they happen to shield, I'm going to snipe with Dragon Breath from my own Dialga. My opponent is going to let that go. Send in Metagross. I'm now going to pivot into Dialga. This is an uncomfortable matchup down a shield. In even shields, Dialga can do pretty well, especially in the 2s, but down a shield, this is very awkward. They go for the Earthquake. That does get my final shield. I'm farming up so much energy with the Dialga, and I'm going for the Iron Head here. Iron Head is a bait and will get a shield from my opponent. I'm farming up. Opponent makes the Earthquake. I miscounted, and this is not good. I lost a lot of energy there that I could have thrown at the Metagross, and things suddenly looking dire. I'm going to send in the Umbreon in the back. Opponent has Togekiss, and I'm going to send in Zacian. Zacian farming up here, making it to the back-to-back Wild Charges. Wait. This might actually be possible. Wild Charge gets the shield, going for Wild Charge number 2, and I will get this damage. This damage, not going to be enough to KO. I need to exit this matchup with a Foul Play loaded. I lose CMP, but wait, if this is Aura Sphere, my game is done. It's a Flamethrower. I'm able to survive and go for the Foul Play. Foul Play is going to be getting rid of the Togekiss. Back in comes the Metagross, and I'm going for the Foul Play. Please, let this be enough to KO. Foul Play KOs the Metagross, and somehow we get the win. Hopping into the final match, and we see a familiar lead, Zacian into Ho-Oh. I'm definitely staying in this matchup, because with Wild Charge, I can at minimum, if not win switch, then get my opponent quite low. So I'm going to fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge will grab an early shield from my opponent, and this is actually a Brave Bird. They did not build up to the Sacred Fire, so they're going to have to switch. Opponent sends in a Mewtwo, and it's time. One last rodeo for Umbreon. Umbreon going for the Foul Play here. Foul Play is going to be no shielded by the Mewtwo. Umbreon farming up, just cannot make the Foul Play. I'm going to let this through. Let's see, opponent running Focus Blast. Oh no, and my Umbreon gets one shot. I'm gonna send in Dialga, but I am now in dire straits as they make another Focus Blast and I have to burn my final shield. This is not good whatsoever. Opponent is gonna get farmed down. I'm gonna leave with energy on the Dialga. My opponent is dry on Hoa, which is quite good, but my opponent is gonna send in Zacian as their final Pokemon. I'm going for the Iron Head. Iron Head does not KO here, but it will get them low. My opponent is going to no shield. I'm farming up, looking for the close combat catch, but I'm not able to get it. My opponent fires off the Play Rough onto my Zacian. They send in Ho-Oh, and I'm going for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge not going to be enough to KO. Opponent is going to let that through. They're looking for the farm down. Zacian able to make a last second Wild Charge. This will force the final shield. Opponent does exit this with energy. In comes Dialga. They hang on. They make it to the Sacred Fire. Will this KO? Sacred Fire onto Dialga. Dialga survives and leaves with the Iron Head loaded. Iron Head takes down the Zacian, and that is a good game. All in all, I had a ton of fun with this challenge of trying to get wins with an XL Umbreon in the Master League. Umbreon, absolutely not a Pokemon that you should run in the Master League, as it gets crushed by just about everything not named Giratina Origin or a Double Legacy Mewtwo. But man, getting the wins that I was able to get was a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.